Arsenal news. Gunners contact Star's agent as Mikel Arteta pushes for January signing. Arsenal are challenging for the Premier League title and still fighting in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and Champions League as Mikel Arteta's side look to strengthen their squad in January. With less than 3 weeks left to wrap up any January transfer dealings before the window shuts at the start of February, Arsenal are in a very strong position. Mikel Arteta's squad currently holds a 6-point lead over Manchester City and are eyeing the Premier League title. The Gunners have been more accustomed to playing second fiddle, but now they're in prime position to claim the top spot. Arteta's men are still competing on 4 fronts, including an upcoming Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea, as well as ongoing campaigns in the FA Cup and Champions League. However, they recognize the need to strengthen their squad if they're to achieve the extraordinary feat of a quadruple, and several high-profile players have been linked with a move to the Emirates Stadium. Here's all the latest news on Arsenal. Arsenal inquire about Brazilian prodigy. TNT Sports in Brazil reports Arsenal have shown interest in young Brazilian talent Breno Bidden, following earlier suggestions that the Premier League club had reached out to Corinthians. The report indicates the Gunners have also been in touch with Dodici Sports, the agency representing the 20-year-old midfielder, to discuss his current situation and potential future transfer, reports the Mirror. The report adds no specific figures were discussed, with Arsenal now joining the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea in expressing interest in the Brazilian playmaker. Earlier this year, Corinthians manager Dorival Jr. stated, "He's a very important player, and if I'm being honest with you, I wouldn't like to lose any player. We need to find balance so we can have a strong squad throughout the year. That is our biggest challenge." Arsenal are making a real push to sign Marc Guehi. Reports are rife that both Liverpool and Arsenal are keen to secure the signature of Marc Guehi ahead of the summer transfer window. The England international will be available on a free transfer when his contract with Crystal Palace expires, and Arteta is reportedly a big admirer. However, Bayern Munich are also said to be in discussions with the centre-back, while Manchester City are rumored to be preparing an important proposal and go strong for Guehi in the January window. The 25-year-old was on the brink of a move to Anfield in the summer, but the deal fell through at the last minute when Palace pulled the plug. Thomas Tuchel has given 4 reasons why Kai Havertz will end up taking the Arsenal to the title. Kai Havertz has returned for Arsenal at the perfect time, and after strong words in his past from managers Mikel Arteta and Thomas Tuchel, the expectation is high to help take the Gunners to the Premier League title. Kai Havertz has returned to the pitch for Arsenal after missing 30 matches, having injured his knee against Manchester United in the opening match of the current campaign. After a collision with Manuel Ugarte, the German international felt something but finished the game. It turned out to be worse than expected, and the forward required surgery. Despite there being hope that he would be out for a matter of weeks, the former Chelsea man has missed more than 4 months of action. It came having missed more than 3 months at the end of the previous season after a serious hamstring problem sent him under the knife for what would be the first of 2 procedures that year. Arteta has always been so praising of the player, saying in a recent press conference that he loves the player and what he brings to the team. Speaking just before the hamstring injury in early February of 2025, Arteta described the player as a powerhouse when asked whether he could start every game until the end of the season, a quote that would, of course, prove quite ironic when on a training camp in Dubai in the following weeks he would miss the majority of the remainder of the season. Mikel Arteta urged to make brutal Victor Gyökeres call versus Chelsea as Arsenal striker role decided. Liam Rosenior to consider 10 Chelsea changes as key man misses Arsenal Carabao Cup clash. "I don't know. It is a possibility that he could start every game," Arteta said. "Maybe we go through that scenario and he scores another 15 or 18 goals. Can you imagine? That's a good scenario." Genetically, he is a powerhouse. He is so well built. He is a player that anything you ask him, he is happy to do. To run in zone 6, to be very robust, to make long distances. His body absorbs everything, and then he really looks after himself. When you see the professional, how he lives his life, it is immaculate. He does more than any other player there. That is not a coincidence. And then I think he is so intelligent. Hopefully now back in the side he will indeed rediscover his form and stability too, and be able to lean into plenty of what Arteta has said previously in re-establishing his place in the Arsenal first team. There had been some concerns spreading that the forward had suffered a setback as a result of comments made by Julian Nagelsmann. This only worsened when, after returning to the bench against Aston Villa in December at the Emirates, he was then missing from the squad which played against Bournemouth. However, football.London understands this was purely the management of his load. Where players have enjoyed some recovery days after featuring in the festive matches, Havertz has been working hard at the training ground, and the club have been very cautious about when the right time to reintroduce him was. He was ready to make an appearance against Villa the week he was included, but circumstances changed in the following days, and the club decided against taking that risk at Bournemouth when they had 9 match-fit options for the bench with the return of Declan Rice to fitness. The pathway now is perhaps much clearer than some expected, a situation that the German will be determined to maximize for himself and the team. Xabi Alonso pleaded with Real Madrid to sign unreal Arsenal star. Xabi Alonso was desperate for Real Madrid to sign Arsenal midfielder Martin Zubimendi last summer. The former Liverpool star took over at the Bernabeu last May, but his reign in charge lasted less than 8 months, parting ways with Los Blancos on Monday in the wake of their Spanish Super Cup final defeat to Barcelona. He leaves the Spanish capital with Real sitting second in La Liga, 4 points behind their arch-rivals with the best win percentage out of any previous head coaches at the club over the last decade. Real made 3 additions to their defense during last summer's transfer window, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dean Huyson, and Alvaro Carreras joining the club alongside highly rated Argentine attacker Franco Mastantuono. Alonso, however, was eager for the club to sign a midfielder in the mold of Toni Kroos, who retired from football in 2024 after a decade of excellence at the club. Alonso told the Real board a signing of that profile would be fundamental to his success at the club, identifying Zubimendi as the best man for the job. While the new Real boss was desperate to sign the then Real Sociedad star, Arsenal had long-standing interest, having struck an agreement to bring him to the Emirates in January 2025. While Arsenal remained confident he would join, AS reports there was a small window where Real had the chance to convince him to stay in Spain, with Alonso's representatives reaching out to Zubimendi's agency. The report claims Zubimendi waited a few days to see if there was a possibility to join Alonso at Real before making his final decision. The Spanish giants hesitated, however, and by the time they did make their move, it was too late, with a $60 million move to Arsenal finalized. AS add the club were never fully convinced despite Alonso's pleas, with the head coach privately complaining to his staff that Zubimendi was a missing piece of the puzzle. Real's boast the options of Jude Bellingham, Ernesto Valverde, Eduardo Camavinga, and Aurelien Tchouameni, but feared the side lacked a player to effectively anchor the midfield and create from deep. Real's loss has been Arsenal's gain, with Zubimendi, one of the season's signings, effortlessly slotting into Mikel Arteta's midfield. The 26-year-old has started 20 of Arsenal's 21 Premier League matches, playing the full 90 minutes in 15 of those games. His presence has also enabled his midfield partner Declan Rice to hit new levels this season, with the England international recently paying tribute to his unreal teammate. He's not the biggest player or the strongest, but his brain, the way it works, allows the team to function in such a good way. He's been unreal. He's played so many minutes for us. The way he gets on the ball, obviously he's Spain's number 6 at the minute, and rightly so. You see the quality he brings, the calmness, the composure, the way he thinks. It's been great to play with him. I'm learning a lot, and we've built a really good partnership. So long may that continue, because we're both young, we're both fresh, and we want to keep building that together.